For the last few years, something surprising happened in the gaming industry. Sony, the company known for keeping its biggest titles locked to PlayStation, suddenly started releasing its biggest games on PC. Games like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered all made their way to PC after launching on PlayStation. But now, new reports suggest that Sony Interactive Entertainment may be changing that strategy. Some insiders say Sony could stop bringing major single-player PlayStation games to PC entirely. So what happened? Why would Sony walk away from something that looked like easy money? And what did this mean for the future of PlayStation? Let's break it down. Sony entering the PC market was actually a huge moment for gaming. For decades, PlayStation games were almost completely exclusive to Sony consoles. If you wanted to play them, you needed a PlayStation. But starting in 2020, Sony began experimenting with the PC releases. It started with Horizon Zero Dawn, which launched on PC years after its PlayStation debut. Then more titles followed: God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, The Last of Us Part 1. The idea seemed simple. Sony would release games on PlayStation first, then bring them to PC later to generate extra revenue. Many fans even called it free money for Sony. But now that strategy may be changing. There are several possible reasons Sony might be slowing down PC releases. First, console sales. Exclusive games have always been one of Sony's biggest advantages. Major franchises like God of War and The Last of Us help convince players to buy PlayStation hardware. If those same games become easily available on PC, some players might skip buying a console entirely. Second, technical issues. Some PC ports have had rocky launches. For example, the PC version of The Last of Us Part 1 launched with major performance problems that hurt its reputation. And third, brand identity. Sony has spent decades building PlayStation as a premium platform known for blockbuster exclusives. Releasing too many titles outside that ecosystem could weaken that brand image. The bigger story here is how differently the major gaming companies are approaching the future. Sony continues to focus heavily on traditional consoles exclusives. Their strategy revolves around big cinematic single-player games that are closely tied to PlayStation hardware. Meanwhile, Microsoft is taking almost the opposite approach. Microsoft is pushing toward a massive gaming ecosystem built around Xbox Game Pass and PC integration. Many Xbox games launch on console and PC at the same time. And with rumors of future hardware like Project Helix, Microsoft may be trying to blur the line between console gaming and PC gaming completely. So while Microsoft expands into PC gaming, Sony may be doubling down on exclusives. For gamers, this shift could have a few major consequences. If Sony truly stops bringing its biggest single-player titles to PC, PC players may once again need to buy a PlayStation to experience those games. At the same time, Sony will likely continue experimenting with multiplayer or live service games on PC, since those titles benefit from having large player communities. This means the future could look something like this. Single-player blockbuster games stay PlayStation only. Multiplayer games release on multiple platforms. PC support becomes more selective. In other words, Sony may be trying to balance console exclusive with broader reach. course, the gaming industry changes constantly. Strategies that seem permanent today can shift quickly. If PC gaming continues to grow rapidly, Sony may eventually reconsider its approach. And if competitors like Microsoft continue expanding into PC and cloud gaming, Sony could face pressure to adapt. For now, however, it appears Sony wants to keep its biggest PlayStation experiences tied closely to its own hardware. So the big question is this: should PlayStation games stay exclusive to PlayStation? Or should Sony continue bringing its biggest titles to PC? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoy gaming news, console war debates, and deep dives into the future of the industry, make sure to subscribe to Press Start Entertainment, because the gaming world is changing faster than ever.